You're watching Hegarai TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Salam. My name is Sheikh Abu Hakim Abdullah, President Chairman of Al Masjid Sharia Allah, AMSA, a non-profit religious organization operating in the state of Rhode Island, USA. When I left you saying that we must get together, come together as one force, and into the UN, the League of Nations, as the Muslim World League, or Islamic body, or whatever name we want to call ourselves, and into demanding that we be allowed to go into Syria and Egypt and any other so-called Islamic country that is part of the United Nations. Because our way of life is not only our religion, it's our way of life. And it's supposed to be governing us in our countries. Not democracy, not socialism, not fascism, not communism, not any kind of isms other than Islam. That's what we need to do. And I say that to the kings and princesses, whoever is governing these so-called countries. I say that to the followers of Islam. I say that to the so-called Muslims in Islam. I say that as in the believers in Islam. And I say that to the mujahid in Islam. The mujahid in Islam. The ones striving for Allah's way of life in Islam. I am a striver of Allah's way of life. I'm also a viceroy of Allah. Allah made us viceroys of His way of life, and I'm one of them. I accept that, and I admit that, and I use that, and I do that. I am a viceroy of Allah. I have that right by Allah's statements and by the statements of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I accept the Quran as a schematics of my life, and I accept the hadiths, the 9 volumes, as the statements and actions of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm not a modern. I'm not old-fashioned. I consider myself, yes, I consider myself an Orthodox Muslim. A straight-up Orthodox Muslim. I don't consider myself, I'm not a terrorist. I don't accept terrorism. Terrorism is not part of Islam. We're not allowed to terrorize people. We're not allowed now to use water to torture people and all that kind of stuff. We're not allowed to do that in Islam. Anybody that's doing that is not a Muslim. It's not something that Muslims have the right to do. I don't know where they think they have that right, but it's not a right to terrorize people and force them to say something that is not true. We can't make a lie a truth. This is how far Islam, this is how far the Muslim can carry the Islam, that they can turn around and force somebody to admit that they this or that. You can't do that. If a person denies it, that person denied that you must accept it as that person denying it, but you can take him to trial about it. We have trials in Islam also. But you cannot turn around and make a person say, I'm did and I did that and I did this. You can't do that. That's just illegal in Islam. You can't force a confession out of no one. I don't know where some Muslims get this idea from. It's not in Quran and Hadith. They make what they want to make out of it, but using semantics. I'm not going to accept that. Now, those of you that do, it's under the influence of the same people that have people going out here bombing people, planes being flown into the buildings and killing Muslims and non-Muslims and everybody alike. To chop people's heads off and all that kind of stuff because you want to do it. To make up laws to do that. People that turn around and try to put cutting their daughters' heads off because they want to marry a non-believer or something like that. If they want to marry a non-believer, they have the right to do so and go ahead and do that, and they are out of Islam. That's the whole deal. That's the whole thing. It's the way you got to handle it. You cannot forbid them. The law forbids that marriage, and if they do it, then they openly apostated their religion and should be out of the Islam and considered non-Muslim the rest of their lives. This is straight up, this is no joke. This is the way it is. They can be chastised for fornication and adultery. But they can't be chastised because they marry a non-believer other than to be cast out of Islam. It's forbidden for a Muslim woman to marry a non-Muslim man. And this is the way they must do. So I'm one of them. One of the forbidders of that, and I accept that. I accept the Sharia of the Prophet, of the Sharia of Islam as a legit Islamic way of life. It has nothing to do with the non-believer whatsoever, except the Sharia that's on us to stay away from certain parts of non-believing activities. I'm trying to tell you this, and this is what you must listen to. Now back to this entering of this thing here with this gas thing is being done in Syria. It was also done in Iraq. Iraq did it. Hussein did it to his Muslim people. It was done in Germany. It was done by France in retaliation of what the Germans did in World War I. They say a little bit was used in World War II. And Agent Orange was used in Vietnam by the United States, and that's considered a gas or substance to kill the growth in the jungle. And at the same time, you got men here suffocating from it today. Getting money from the United States government because it was used today in Vietnam and in other countries. So this is what I believe. I believe that this should be dealt with. I'm trying to talk to you, Muslims, straight up. I'm not trying to hint to you about not going out in that doorway. I'm trying to tell you, don't go across that doorway, into that room. It's not a mystery I'm trying to give you. I'm trying to tell you preventive. How to stay on the Siratul Mustaqim, the straight path of the law. A lot of you don't want to hear this. A lot of you think that you're not doing this. A lot of you think that what you're doing is right. A lot of people feel that what they desire something, they have a right to do it. Okay? You have a right to do it underneath the certain countries' rules that you live under. You have the right to stand and call people names and whatnot by certain rules of a country. You have a right to literally write something down, a lie against someone in certain pieces of this country. There's power of speech and all that kind of stuff. But Islam, you don't have that right to do all that kind of stuff. To put a lie on somebody in Islam or call somebody a name out their name, you don't have that right. And if you do, you have to pay for it. I say it's time for us to begin to do our deen the way it was supposed to be done. I don't have masses of people trying to hear what I have to say. They're not fighting to get to hear what I have to say. They're not pushing each other around. But like Allah said, it is not many that's going to follow to the truth. It's only a chosen few that's going to follow to the truth. There'd be many people that come up and say they believe, but be a few following what they say they believe. The law says that in many ways. So I don't get messed up in the head because I don't have 1 million hits on my web page or 500,000 on my web page. Because there's many people that don't do something because it's right, but do stuff because they want to be seen by others. I get no pay for what I'm doing. Or do I get tzedakah what I'm doing? From the brothers or from Muslims to assist me in this work. And like I said, I know there's many people that feel I'm talking about them and shouldn't talk about them. If a brother's doing wrong and violating the laws of Islam openly, who said that I should not mention this to the public when it's a violation against the deen of Allah? And I do collective speaking like I'm doing now. I write out many letters explaining what I'm doing to so-called leaders of countries and the people that assist in the leaders of countries. And I get back few answers or replies. And yet the law says what I am doing on this television, on this website, demands the actions of tzedakah and zakat from the Muslims in this ummah. I have seen non-believers that we condemn as being some of them that we condemn as being non-followers of God, turn around and give hundreds of thousands of dollars to people on the web not for what they're doing right, but just because they're doing something. So I'm not hurt Oh, I'm hurt, son. I don't say that. I'm not messed up in the head because don't have 1,000,000 hits, or viewers, or subscribers to what I'm saying on the web. But what I'm saying on the web and how I'm saying it on the web is a benefit to the Islam and my way of life, and should be heard. We got people today that call themselves Muslims that's literally walking around showing their bodies. You got people today that's got a headcloth on their head, and the shape of everything else is wide open to the public, that they're not supposed to let be seen. By the public. You got people walking around literally don't want to say Salam Alaikum to another Muslim because he or she is not one of them in complexion and in race and nationality. It's really done got to that, the so-called moderate. And so we must deal with that. We must stop the change because we are falling apart. Our thing is becoming our thing is not becoming, we are becoming a Friday Muslim group. And we must change soon, very soon. All of you that are at home looking at this program or tuned up this program on the web, or the many that's on there, should look in the mirror at one of your biggest enemies, yourself, and change and control it. Control yourself. Control that left part of yourself. And one of the hardest jihads is not for jihad, self-jihad. Cleaning up yourself. I know that. A lot of people know that. Allah knows that. The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam knew that. And we recognize that. So I advise you to get your act together again. And for what's happening in Syria, you got to deal with it. And another thing, you just can't send arms when two brothers are fighting each other, or two companies or two tribes or two groups fighting each other, two believers fighting each other in Islam. You can't just jump to the conclusion and say the one that you like, if he's getting beat up by the one you dislike, and somebody come along and want to fight the one you dislike also, you can't make that a good guy if it's not. If a bunch of believers are fighting this other believer, and a terrorist comes along or somebody comes along that openly does wrong, a wrongdoing Muslim, which is not true, but I use the phrase until we clean it up, is your friend. You can't do that. You can't say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Because that's not true. You can't say that. You can't supply them with arms that can later be supplied to bomb us. Because these same people that's doing this will turn around and move something that they know is going to be attacked into the house of people that's not part of, not combatants. Because then you're guilty of murder. If you fighting an enemy across the street and you move your headquarters into a mosque, and the enemy across the street shoot bullets into your place where you moved your organization, and you can kill innocent people, then you're guilty of murder because you put that in there. Because you're trying to keep them from shooting at it, and you put them in that building. And if they killed the people that was in there, you're guilty of murdering them people. Play that back to you. Because if I was sitting down with other sheikhs handling a case against you, that's the way I would bring the verdict. That you caused this to happen. Your actions brought on this shooting. And you should pay for it. I don't know if you pay for it with your life or what, but you must pay for it. So I hit you with that, and I leave you with that. And I'll see you next week for another one, something else. And may Almighty Allah bless you brothers and sisters that are following his or her way in Islam and practicing the way Allah told you to practice the Islam and striving to build the Islam and keep it pure. Receive many blessings from him. Ameen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.